There's a call for God, I see it everywhere. Everybody's running scared, and everything is turning upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me, we're not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. When you choose him, you know you choose me too. Everyone becomes a part of you, and then they will know that love is who I am. Yes, yes, yes. You and me, we're not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
Welcome to the way to welcome to A Course of Love.
Yeah, we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love with Earl Purdy. Welcome to A Course of Love with Earl Purdy here on Facebook Live. Just know that you need not believe these ideas. You need not welcome these ideas. You need not accept these ideas. Some of these ideas are going to be hard to believe, and some of these ideas are going to be quite startling. But don't you know you're not being asked to judge the ideas and analyze the ideas at all. It is the use of the ideas. It's using the ideas that will show you that the ideas are true. You got to use them if you want to realize that the ideas are true. Let me tell you this. You and me, we're not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. You and me, mighty companion. You and me. Tell me, can you hear it? Can you hear what I'm saying? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it. Know that we are one. You and I are one. We are one self. We are one self, united with our Creator. Welcome to A Course of Love. 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 Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome to A Course of Love. This is Earl Purdy, right here on Facebook Live, meeting with my mighty companions. It's always a pleasure for me to gather with my mighty companions. It's you and I, we're going to do the course of love tonight. In the course of love, we're going to be in chapter 30 of A Course of Love. I want to welcome those of you who are joining live. I really am glad that you are joining me tonight. Barbie, Michelle, CJ, Jane, Blue, Janet, Ann, and everybody else that's joining with me live for the Course of Love Live. We're going to be in chapter 30. It's called Being Present. We're going to do the part of the Course of Love that's called Being Present. It's on page 184 in the A Course of Love Combined Version. And we're going to see what it is that Spirit wants us to recognize tonight, what it is that Spirit wants us to get. So let's just take a minute, let's just take a few minutes to welcome each other and to feel each other. And don't forget to comment, don't forget to share the video. Just click on share right there where you are watching it, and then put it on your timeline. Let's share it so we can have more people join us. And you can also ask questions. So let's do chapter 30, Being Present. So the first thing that says is, how is being present different than being? Are being present and being the same thing? Should not being present and being not be the same thing? And yet, how seldom are you fully present for your own life? How seldom are you fully present for your own life, your own self, your own being? If you were fully aware of your own being, you would be in oneness with your Father. So being in oneness with our Father, according to the Course of Love, means I am fully aware of my own being. So if I'm not fully aware of my own being, then I'm not knowing my oneness with my Creator. So how can one be distracted from oneself, and yet you are distracted from yourself? It says, many go through life searching for self-definition and self-actualization. Where are they as they search? Where is their being? Where are you while you are searching for self-actualization? Where is your being when you are searching for a definition of yourself? So if reaching a particular destination is all that is sought, the journey becomes but the means for reaching a particular destination. All learning is seen as preparation for the future, for some eventual outcome, rather than for your being. So I'm being told right now that rather than learning so that I can recognize my being, that basically I believe that learning is preparation for the future, and I believe that learning has something to do with an eventual outcome, rather than believing that learning is really for my being. It says in the Course of Love, you attempt to learn for something other than yourself, for some purpose other than yourself. And it says, thus was service given another route for being separated from the self and your function here. So when you learn in order to contribute something to your work and your world, you bypass yourself. Did you hear what I just heard? Let me say that again. Let's make sure that we heard that, those of you who are following me. I'm in chapter 30, paragraph 2. It says, when you learn in order to contribute something to your work, when you learn in order to contribute something to your world, he says you are actually bypassing yourself. So let's see what that means. That's pretty thought-provoking. So I'm actually bypassing myself when I'm learning in order to contribute something to my work, and I'm actually bypassing myself when I'm learning in order to contribute something to my world. According to the Course of Love, that's exactly what it says that you and I would be doing. That if we learn something in order to contribute to our work or our world, that we're actually bypassing our true self. So what is the advice that Yeshua has given us in A Course of Love? Well, it says your learning must take on a new focus. So tonight is about our learning taking on a new focus. So what is the new focus that we are supposed to take on in order for our learning to move to the next level? Be like the little children. So the focus is on being like a little child again. That I'm reaching a point, and you are reaching a point in our spiritual development where to go to the next level, in order to be present, we have to be like the little children. So what would it look like to be as little children learning? It says, well, you would inhale the world around you in order to make it part of yourself. You would be like the little children. That means you would learn in order to claim your learning for your greater self. Learn who you are through each experience, rather than learning in order to find out who you are. Rather than learning in order to find out who you are. Rather than learning in order to find out who you are or what your contribution will eventually be. You should be learning who you are through each experience. So each experience that you give yourself, that's how you are supposed to learn who you are. Rather than trying to learn in order to find out who you are or what your contribution will eventually be, you learn who you are through each experience. I think I've said this before, that my purpose in the Course of Love is to bring it to life so that we can hear what it's saying. If we can hear what it's saying, that's the first step to changing our belief. That's the first step to awakening. The first step to awakening is hearing what we're being told, hearing the new way of thinking, hearing about the new way of being. So being in relationship means being present. So does that mean that when you are truly in relationship with someone, you are being present with them? That means you're not thinking about the past and you're not thinking about the future. You're being present. So to be in a relationship is to be present. So if I'm going to try to get someone to be in a relationship with me, what I'm really saying to them is, will you be present with me? Being present has nothing to do with time. As we think of it, being present doesn't have anything to do with time. Being present doesn't have anything to do with time. He says, the Course of Love says, you think of this instruction to be present as an instruction that relates to time. So being present does not have anything to do with clock time. You think of present time, you think of past time, and you think of future time. The Course in Miracles says past means gone, G-O-N-E, and it says future means not yet. So when I see past and when I see the words past and future, what I do is I substitute the words past means gone, future means not yet. So you think of present time, gone time, and not yet time. We have spoken of these modes of keeping time as well, but as the word keeping illustrates, there is nothing about time that can be kept. There's nothing about time that you can keep. There's nothing about time that can be kept. The only real thing, the only thing that's real about time is that time is eternal. So time has an eternal nature, and that's the only thing real about it. So what does it mean when I say time has an eternal nature? There's always a now. If you think about it, for as long as you can remember, there's always been a now. In that sense, time is eternal. In paragraph 5, in chapter 30, it says, you are headed toward what might be called universal consciousness. we're headed toward universal consciousness. And though you will not know it when it is at first achieved, so when you first achieve universal consciousness, you probably won't know it. Because universal consciousness is knowing self. When you finally really know yourself, you will know universal consciousness. While you think it is knowing all, really knowing yourself with a capital S, knowing your true self is knowing all. But this you do not as yet understand. Okay, so I'm being told that I really don't understand what universal consciousness is. That I don't realize that universal consciousness is really knowing my true self. And knowing my true self is knowing all. So universal consciousness is being in relationship. Universal consciousness is your true self. Universal consciousness is your known self. In all this glorious relationship with life. I know myself with all of my glorious relationships to life. When I know myself with all my glorious relationships to life and all my glorious relationships with life, it says that's what knowing yourself means. Universal consciousness is being in relationship. Universal consciousness is the true self, the known self, and all its glorious relationship with life. All matter is born and all matter dies. Everything that's physical, everything that's physical ends. But life is forever. This physical form, your physical form, my physical form will not last forever. My physical form, your physical form will not last forever. But life lasts forever. You will continue to live in some form or out of form forever. Your true self, which is your known self, realizes that the physical will end, but who you really are, which is life, will last forever. So it says the known self realizes this and begins to act in accordance with this knowing. It sounds like there's a hailstorm or something going on outside right now. So what does the known self recognize? The known self. What is the known self? What does the known self? What does the known self? What does the known self realize? The known self realizes that the life that I am will live forever, but the form will end. So this world, the one you're in right now, as you perceive it, this world is built around the foundation of fear. This world is built around the foundation of fear. A fear that stemmed from the belief in a finite life. So why is the world built on the foundation of fear? Because the world is built on the belief that we have a finite life. The reason why the world is a foundation of fear is because it stems from the belief that you can be born into a body and dying to the body. So the underlying fear that's the foundation of the world is the belief that I am born in a body and that I'm going to die in a body. That's what A Course of Love means when it says we are in a world that's based on the foundation of fear. It's in the foundation of fear because I think I'm this body that might die, and I think that I'm a body that can die. That is why it's saying that this world is built on the foundation of fear. The person who knows, a person who truly, truly knows the simplest truth of the identity of the self no longer lives in a dualistic position with God. So what does that mean? That means when a person really begins to recognize who they are, they're no longer living in duality, but in a monistic state with God. What does it mean to live in a monistic state with God? Well, the difference is in realizing now you're going to have a relationship with the infinite where in the past you had a relationship with the finite. So in realizing relationship with the infinite instead of the finite, now you're going to have a relationship with life as opposed to physical matter. I'm going to identify more now with my life than with physical matter. So we are now supposed to start to relate more to life than to physical matter. Let's see if there are any questions or comments. Okay, great. Hey, I'm glad to see all of you joining me right now with the Course of Love. I'm going to tell you right now, it usually takes about 10 or 15 minutes to really tune in and focus in and kind of let go of whatever you were thinking of or whatever you were experiencing before you tuned in. There can be a franticness about our consciousness, and it kind of takes a minute to tune into that higher part of ourselves that's tuning into a Course of Love. So just breathe and know that as we continue to do this, you're going to tune in more and more, even if you're finding yourself having any kind of resistance in tuning in right now. So it's time for us to have a relationship with life as opposed to a relationship with matter. Now, this huge difference is easily overlooked and rarely seen as the key that unlocks the door to universal consciousness, which is being present. So what is the key that unlocks the door? What is the key that unlocks the door to universal consciousness? The key that unlocks the door to cosmic consciousness, the key that locks the door to universal consciousness is saying I want to have a relationship with the infinite instead of the finite. I'm going to identify more with life than I'm going to identify with the physical body and the physical. So there is no being and no present in matter. In matter, your being must be attached to form. So if you're in matter, your being is attached to the body. Your being is attached to the physical form in matter. In the sense of time described by the word present, there is no infinitude. There's only a vague concept of now. The way that the average person looks at the idea of now, they just have a kind of a vague concept of what now means, and the average person thinks of time as having something to do ultimately with the present. And this is the key concept that I not only knew but demonstrated. This is the legacy. This is the inheritance I left to you. This discourse may seem to have traveled far from words of love, words promised, and words given in truth. No love is finite. No love is finite in nature. There's no such thing as a love that ends. Real love is never finite. Real love never ends. Love does not have a beginning, and love does not have an end. This is a course of love. We are being told what love is. Rule number 1 is love is not finite. Love has no beginning, and love has no end. What love is, don't you want to know what love is? Love is a demonstration. Love is a demonstration. Love is a description of universal consciousness, of joining in relationship. All relationship, listen now, Raj, all relationship is relationship with God, who is love. All relationship is relationship with God. Don't forget to communicate with each other. Don't forget to take advantage of the fact that we are live. So feel free to make comments with me, feel free to make comments with each other, because we have the ultimate awesome experience of being here with each other. All relationship is relationship with God, God who is love. So all relationship is relationship with God. All relationship is relationship with love. All relationship is relationship with love. All relationship is relationship with God. In paragraph 11, chapter 30, paragraph 11, in A Course of Love, it says, what the Course is speaking of now, in essence, is gain without loss. You will never be aware of gain without loss while you believe in what is finite in nature. A person will never believe that they never lose until they start believing in what is eternal and what is infinite. As long as you believe in anything that is physical, you will experience what you call loss, because everything that is finite, everything that is physical, it ends, it changes form. So if I ever want to believe that I cannot lose, if I ever want to believe that I cannot lose, I have to believe in something that never ends. I have to believe in something that's eternal, because something that never ends and is eternal cannot be destroyed, and so you can never lose it. So this whole idea that you never lose, that idea never has any reality until I'm focusing on what is eternal and what is infinite. And what is eternal and what never ends is love. The cycle of giving and receiving is thus never complete, and the certainty you seek always waiting for something you do not yet have, some information, some guarantee, some proof of validation. In other words, you might think if you are right, there may be a part of you that thinks that if you are right, you will be successful. So there are some people that believes if they're right, then they are successful. And then they believe that if they are successful, they're going to be secure. And some people believe that if you are good, you will prosper. Some people believe that if you're successful, you must be right. Some people believe that if you are really successful, you will be secure. And there are some people that believe that if you are good, you will prosper. But what they don't see is that these ways of thinking as ideas associated with gain and loss. So when you have the idea that if you're right, you will be successful. If you're successful, you will be secure. If you are good, then you're going to prosper. Then you actually are thinking ideas that are associated with gaining and losing. All thinking, whenever you have any kind of thinking, and it goes like this: if this, then that. If I do this, then that's going to happen. If I do this, then that's going to happen. All thinking that is of a if this, then that nature is thinking in terms of gain and loss. So I'm still supporting the idea of gain and loss if I tell myself, if I am successful, I must be right. If I am successful, I must be secure. If I'm good, then I'll prosper. Well, that's still supporting the idea that I can win and lose, that I can gain and I can lose, because that means that if I'm not successful, I must be wrong. If I'm not secure, then I'm not successful. And if I'm not prospering, I'm not good. So thinking in terms of if I'm right, I'll be successful. If I'm successful, I will be secure. And if I'm a good person, I'm really going to prosper. That's really reinforcing the belief in winning and losing, or gaining and losing. So we have to leave that kind of thinking behind. A Course of Love says you have to leave that kind of thinking behind. This belief in gain and loss is a cornerstone in your thought system. Do you know that a cornerstone in your way of thinking is that you believe you can gain and you believe you can lose? This is a cornerstone of our old belief system. If this, then that. that idea rules the nature of your existence, because you have made that idea that if you do this, then that's going to happen, and if you don't do that, then this won't happen. It rules the nature of your existence because you have made it ruler by abandoning the laws of God. So what does that mean? It means that I have abandoned the laws of God if I believe in gain and loss. If I believe I can lose and I believe I can win and lose, then I have abandoned the laws of God. I have abandoned the laws of the universe. So how can you tell when you have abandoned God's laws? You have a belief that you can lose and you can gain. Now, the laws of God, when I say the laws of God, it's saying I'm talking about the laws of love. The laws of God are the laws of love. When you're operating within the laws of love, when I am operating within the laws of love, when I am operating within God's laws, I never lose. There is no such thing as losing when you are operating within God's laws. When a person is operating within the laws of love, when you're operating within the laws of God, you can't lose. There is no such thing as losing if you're operating according to the laws of God. There's no such thing as losing if I'm operating within the laws of God. If you're operating within the laws of God, there is no such thing as losing. If you're operating within the laws of God, there is only gain. You only benefit if you're operating within the laws of God. You only benefit. So let's see what my mighty companions are saying to me right now. Casey says, a cornerstone in your way of thinking is the belief that you can gain or lose. I have abandoned the laws of God. If this is so in my thinking, the laws of God is the laws of love. When I am operating in the laws of love, I never lose. Amen. Thank you. That's exactly right, Casey. A person will never believe they never lose until they start believing in what is eternal and what is infinite. That line really hit me too, Casey, that if I believe in things that are physical, if I only believe in things that are physical and material, which always end, always change, then I'm going to keep thinking I've lost over and over and over again. I'm only going to let go of the idea that I can lose when I'm believing in things that never end, that you can always count on. Deanna, shout out to you. Great to see you online and here for the Facebook A Course of Love class. And you said the thing that is the most important thing of all to me, which is all relationship is relationship with God. All relationship is relationship with God. Thank you, Jason, for sharing the video. I want to say hello to Weatherly, Lisa, Michael, Mary, Larry. Don't forget, just tap on the share button and then share the video on your timeline. I would really appreciate that so we can allow more mighty companions to hear the message. I need your help. We're doing this together. So now we're in chapter 30, and let's go to paragraph 13, chapter 30 in A Course of Love. The source of love and its location is your own heart. So does that mean that we're being told that what's going to cause love in my life is going to come through my own heart? So right now I want you to follow my instruction. Let's do a little experiment. I want you to think now of the created form. I want you to take a minute to think about the body. Think about the body. When the heart stops beating, we see life as being over when a person's heart stops beating. Or can you not see that the created form, the body, was made in God's own image as was all creation? You are God's image given form, as is all creation is God's image given form. This is God in my form. This form is the image of God, because all things are God. There's nothing that's not God. We, all of us, together, we are the world's heartbeat. We are the heartbeat of the world. We are the heartbeat of the world. Without unity, we would not even exist. If we were not all connected to each other, we would not even exist. When you think about the question of God, what could be a more insane question that I've ever asked myself is whether or not God exists. There obviously is a source to me. I exist. I did not create myself. Something created me. I came from something. That is God. God is the very life that I am expressing to you, and you are expressing to me right now. So I think when people ask that question about do they believe in God, in many situations I think that they're asking themselves, do I believe in something that's outside of myself, that in most cases have been described as this really big dysfunctional man in the sky that's arbitrarily deciding and punishing. In other words, when people said, is there a God, they tend to think of something outside of them, something that's separate from them, that's probably in some type of a human type form and thought. But God is the very life you are living. God, which is love, is the very fiber of your being. You are an expression of God in form. You wouldn't be without your source. Without my source, I wouldn't even exist. Without God, I would not be existing in this very moment. Without source, I would not even be existing right now in this very moment. There is God because there is me. There is God because there is you. The laws of unity are the laws of God, and the laws of God are not complex. The laws of God are very simple. The laws of God are simple. The laws of God are simple. Giving and receiving are the same. Giving and receiving are one. And so giving and receiving as one is the only way in which the laws of God can be fulfilled. How do I do that? Tell yourself, all that I give is given to myself. All that I give is given to myself. Say, all that I give is given to myself. That is the same as saying giving and receiving are one. What's the same as saying giving and receiving are one? It's all that I give is given to myself. 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 Giving and receiving are one means all that I give is given to myself. All that I give is given to myself. Since God's laws are the laws that rule the universe, then God's laws cannot go unfulfilled. God's laws will always be fulfilled in your life. The rules of love, the rules of God will always be fulfilled in your life. God's laws are always fulfilled. God's promises are always kept. Giving and receiving are the same thing in truth. It is every bit as blessed for you to receive as it is for you to give. I know that we sometimes are constantly told how important it is to give, and it is important to give. But let me reverse it just a little bit. It's just as important to receive as it is to give. It's just as important to be a good receiver as it is to be a good giver. So how is your capacity to receive? Are you a good receiver? Are you able to allow your good to come into your life, or do you do something that blocks that good through some of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs? The laws of God are generous. So God's laws are generous. The laws of love are very generalizable and do not change. So what does it mean to have a law of love or a law of God be generalizable? It means you can apply the laws of God. You can apply the laws of love. You can apply the laws of truth to any and every situation and circumstance equally. There is no situation that you cannot apply a law of God to. These laws are laws that apply to every situation and to every circumstance. So none of the laws of man, not any of the laws of man, have usurped the laws of God. There is nothing that's going on in the world that's more powerful than the laws of God. If you tap into the laws of God will transcend the laws of fear and separation and all the laws of lack in this world. The laws of God always work, and they always work in every situation. And the laws of love never change. It is only in your perception that the laws of man take precedence over the laws of God. The laws of God always rule out. They always succeed. The laws of love always supersedes any of the laws of fear, any of the laws of separation in this world. It is only in your perception that the laws of man can take precedence over the laws of God. That only happens in a person's perception that doesn't know the truth, that they think the laws of the world and the laws of man can take precedence over the laws of God. So we must now understand that perception arises from the mind. So we must now discuss the mind. We must now discuss the mind. We must now discuss the mind. Okay, so let's go back. This was a very powerful, potent section. And so what I want to do right now is I want to go back over some of the main thoughts in this section. And one of the thoughts that I want to focus on is the thought that giving and receiving are one. But before I do that, let's see if there are any comments from anyone that's online right now. Kobe, I'm sorry that you had a hard time being able to hear for some reason. And I look forward to the next time we get a chance to see each other. A cornerstone in your belief in thinking is the belief that you cannot lose. So let's say that just for a minute. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take a breath and listen to my voice. Close your mind. Close your eyes. Don't close your mind. Close your eyes. And take a breath. And breathe. Take a breath. Breathe. Giving and receiving are one. 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 Tell yourself, giving and receiving are one. 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 All that I give is given to myself. 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 Now say, I bless the world because I bless myself. 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 So what does that mean? It means every time you bless yourself, every time you let yourself experience some love, every time you let yourself experience some joy, every time you see yourself as innocent, every time you see yourself as infinite instead of as a body, you are giving to yourself and you're blessing yourself. So I went through this section and I looked for specifically the instructions that Yeshua gave us in a course of that Jesus gave us in a course of love as far as direct instruction for us to change our mind. And the first instruction that we got, that was in paragraph 1 in chapter 30. It says, if you were fully aware of your own being, you would be in oneness with your Father. So the way that a person becomes one with God, the way that a person would become one with love, the way that a person would become one with God, the way that a person would become absolutely joined with their source would be to become fully aware of yourself. So focusing your attention on becoming aware of who you are will allow you to recognize your oneness with source, your oneness with the universe. You are not your thoughts, you are not your beliefs, you are not your concepts, you are not your body, you are not your race, you are not your gender. You are not anything that you physically see, but everything that you see is sourced in what is you. You are not your thoughts, you are not your beliefs, you are not your body, you are not your sex, you are not any of the things that you learn from the world that you are. When you become aware of who you are, beyond the beliefs that you've been taught about yourself, you will come to know your oneness and your joining and your connection to God in love, which is your source, Raj. Then it says, how can one be distracted from oneself, and yet you are? So many go through life searching for self-definition, self-actualization. Well, where are they as they search? Okay, what does that mean? I'm always trying to know myself, but even while I'm trying to know myself, myself still exists and myself is there. The Course in Miracles says that instead of trying to teach yourself, why don't you let yourself teach you? It says instead of you trying to teach yourself all the time, Raj, why don't you let yourself teach you? Is it time for me to let myself teach me? Is it time for you to let yourself teach you instead of you trying to teach yourself? Good point, good point. And then in paragraph 2 in chapter 30, it says, when you learn in order to contribute something to your world and your world, you bypass yourself. You bypass yourself when you're trying to learn in order to contribute something to your work. The focus really isn't on knowing who you are. When you're trying to learn in order to make a contribution to your work, your learning really doesn't necessarily have anything to do with coming into complete self-awareness. And CJ says that one of the passages that really strikes her is in paragraph 2 when it says, when you learn in order to contribute something to your work and your world, you bypass yourself. That's funny, because I'm looking down at it and I didn't even realize that you had written that, CJ. And that is exactly what I was focusing in on too. Because when I'm really focusing on trying to come up with what I can do to further my career or contribute to my work, that's not really me trying to do self-inquiry. That's not really me trying to find out exactly who and what I really am. So I can see how my focus on trying to come up with what I need to learn to make some kind of a contribution would be me actually bypassing myself and not actually focusing on coming to know who I really am. That's exactly right. Jessica, it's good to see you online, and Shirley and Vicky. So let's look at another instruction, because this is a shorter section than usual, and that's cool, because it gives us a chance to kind of go over the main points again. Your learning must take on a new focus. Okay, so what is the new focus that we need to take? Be like the little children. It's time for you to be like a little child again. Tell yourself, what I know may not be all there is to know. What I know may not be all there is to know. What I know may not be all there is to know. What I know may not be all there is to know. What I know may not be all there is to know. I don't know everything. In other words, say to yourself, I don't know everything. At this level of consciousness that I'm on now, I don't know everything. That should be pretty obvious to you, that on the level of consciousness that you're on now, there are some things that you don't know. One key to becoming as a little child so that you can really learn is to tell yourself, what I know may not be all there is to know. And also, I'm going to become as a little child also means I'm going to inhale the world. I'm going to take the world in. I'm going to inhale the world, and I'm going to make the world part of myself. I'm going to see it all as ultimately as part of myself. Be like the little children. To go to the next level of awareness, the next level of peace, the next level of joy, it's time for you to be like the little children. Learn, but learn in order to claim your learning for your true self. It is time to learn through experience rather than trying to learn in order to find out what your contribution is going to be to everything. Learn from each and every experience that you have. If you're going to be in a relationship with anyone, be present with them. To be present is to be in relationship. To be in relationship is to be present. Being present doesn't have anything to do with time as you think of time. You can't keep anything about time. There's nothing about time that can be kept. The only thing real about time is when you get into the eternal nature of time. And the eternal nature of time is now. The only part of time that will always be is now. It also told us in this chapter called Being Present, chapter 30 in A Course of Love, that to have universal consciousness, you have to know yourself. And remember what I said earlier. Yourself is not your self-concept. Your concepts about yourself are not yourself. The beliefs that you have learned from the world are not yourself. That's not yourself. The images that you make up in your mind about everything and everyone around you, that's not yourself. Your feelings and emotions are not yourself. They are emotionally charged meanings. So your feelings and emotions are not yourself. Your beliefs and concepts about yourself are not yourself. And universal consciousness is knowing yourself. So when you know yourself, when you really know yourself, when you have absolute certainty about yourself beyond anything you can think and anything you can perceive, then you will have universal consciousness. Do you know that you cannot have universal cosmic consciousness except in relationship? and you are in relationship right now. And I'm not talking about necessarily a romantic relationship or a friendship with another person when I say relationship. A relationship is a situation. And you are in situations or a situation right now. So any situation that you're in is a relationship. A situation is a relationship. And it is your true self, your known self, in all its glorious relationship to life. So when I know myself is when I know my glorious relationship to you. When I know my glorious relationship to you, and you know your glorious relationship to me, we are in relationship. We are in relationship. We are knowing our true self. All matter is born and dies. So everything that's physical is born and it dies. And like CJ is saying now, another passage that was a total wow for her was the passage that said the person. Let me find my little bits of glass that I put over my eyes here. It says one of the passages that really strikes me is in paragraph 2. When you learn in order to contribute something to your work in your world, you bypass yourself. The other one is the person who truly knows the simplest truth of the identity of the self no longer lives in a dualistic position with God, but in a monistic state with God, which tells me that to really know, I must know that I'm one with God. That's right. In order to really know, I've got to know that I'm one with God. Another way that you learn to be present is to recognize that life lasts forever. Physical matter doesn't last forever, but life lasts forever. So that means that you've always been in existence in some form or fashion. You have always existed. The known self realizes that I am eternal life. When I truly know myself, I mean truly know myself, no jiving around, I really know myself, then I will know that I have life. And this life that I have is forever. To know that you're one with God, we were told also that we have to realize that we have a relationship with the infinite, that which is eternal, and not so much focus on the relationship with the finite and that which ends. Why is that so important? Because we want to let go of the idea that we can gain and that we can lose. We want to let go of the idea that we can ever lose. You can never lose. So all relationship is relationship with God. I don't really have a relationship until I have a relationship with my Creator. And every relationship that I have is a reflection of my relationship with my Creator. So I can tell what kind of relationship I have with my Creator by the way that I see my relationship with you. If I see my relationship with my Creator as a relationship in total trust and love, then I'm going to see my relationship with you as a relationship that's based in total trust and love. Every relationship that I have is a reflection of the relationship that I have with my Creator. Then in paragraph 11, chapter 30, it said, you will never be aware of gain without loss while you believe in what is finite in nature. That really stood out. That really stood out. Because if I believe in bicycles, okay, a bicycle will eventually wear out and will eventually be destroyed, right? So I believed in something that was temporary, and so I went through. Thank you for sending all the incredible hearts and all the love that you all are sending, mighty companions. You all are such a blessing in my life. I am so thankful to have you in my life. I am in deep transformation right now. I'm going through an inner transformation that's more than anything I have ever experienced so far on my spiritual path. And the love and the support and the connections that I feel with you and that you feel with each other, it is so helpful to me in my own personal transition. And I want to be a conduit of love for you. I want to be a witness to your innocence. I want to be a witness to your beauty. I want to be a witness to your power. I want to be a witness to your innocence. And I am grateful to you. I am so thankful for you. And we are one self. You and I, we are one self, united with our Creator. We are unlimited in power, and we are unlimited in peace. And you are miracles. I mean, you are so entitled to miracles beyond your wildest imagination. And everything you've ever wanted in your heart, you're about to experience everything you've ever wanted in your heart. Just keep being present with me. Keep being in relationship with me. Keep being in this situation of awakening with me. And know that if we believe in what's real in each other, when we believe in what's eternal in each other, when we believe in what's permanent in each other, then we are going to never lose, because you can never lose something that's eternal. You can never lose something that's permanent. You can never lose something that's real. And we are using our relationship with each other in this course of love gathering every week. We are using our relationship to come to know ourselves as the holy, innocent, powerful extensions of God, the creations of God, the love of God. So if we want to let go of the belief that we can lose, then we must only believe and focus our attention on things that are eternal and things that we can never lose. Here's another very powerful thought that we heard earlier. Do you know that we are being asked to let go of the thinking that if you're doing it right, you're going to be successful? That's an ego-erroneous thought, because at the same time, you're opening the door for the thought, if I'm not successful, I must be doing it wrong. That is not necessarily true. Another ego idea is, if you are successful as you deem successful, then you're going to be secure. And another false belief is that if you are good, you will prosper. There are many people that believe being good is all they have to do in order to prosper. And you also know that that's not necessarily true either. That sometimes you can seem like you're doing everything that you call good and not seem to prosper the way that you want to. So that's an ego thought, an incorrect thought, when you think that if I'm good, I'm going to prosper. Many times when I'm doing relationship counseling, I think about, if you really want to have a relationship that's really peaceful, you need to have a common state of mind with the person and a common purpose with the person that you're in relationship with. That the common purpose and the common state of mind, that needs to be more important than the physical attributes of the person. So when you really want peace and you really want to take your relationships to a brand new level, it's not enough that the person that you are interested in being in an intimate relationship with, it's not enough that they be nice. They need to be conscious. They need to be wanting to be conscious. They need to be sharing your desire for God and your desire for awakening. When you're really sincere about your spiritual path and you're really waking up, a person just being nice will not get it. A person can be so nice and have completely incorrect perceptions of things. I could be the nicest person you've ever met and believe the world is flat. I could be the nicest person you've ever met and not recognize that I am innocent, you are innocent, I'm responsible for my experience, you're responsible for yours. I can be a really nice person and don't know how to be present with you. I could be a really nice person and believe in winning and losing and gaining and loss. So it's going to become more and more important that you let go of the thinking of, if I do this, then that is going to happen. What should you focus in on? You should focus in on the laws of God, which are the laws of love, and know that when you're really operating within the laws of God, when you're operating within the laws of love, when you're operating according to the truth, you only benefit, you only gain, you never lose. You can never be actualizing the laws of the universe and the laws of God and lose. It's not possible. So, CJ said it's so easy to look at life through the lens of old teaching and think that the situations we are in are somehow an indication that we are not right with God, the world, others, and our purpose, and etc. And we know that you're fading, CJ, but thank you for sharing these thoughts and these comments with us tonight. I know you have to get up early and go to work at an extra early hour, so you have to do your bedtime thing extra early. I know that you all could be doing other things. I know it would be easy for you to say, I'll just catch this later and I'll watch this video of this class later, and you can, and that's awesome, because you do need to hear it more than once in order to really get it. But the fact that you take the time to be here and to join with each other, it has a very powerful healing effect on our minds and on our consciousness. We really and truly are a blessing for each other's life. So remember, under the laws of God, there is no loss and there is only gain. Giving and receiving are the same thing. So, when you're dealing with the laws of God, when you're focusing on the truth, you can apply it to any situation and to anything. The laws of God never change. The laws of love never change. That is what we want to take away. We're going to be present. Whew. Okay, I needed that tonight. That was such a blessing. That was such a blessing. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Course of Love. And we're going to do a quick wrap up. And I want to invite you, if you feel so moved in your heart, to support my teaching ministry with the financial expression of appreciation. I'm a full-time teacher by going to earlpurdy.com. I specialize in working with people on a one-to-one level to erase those blocks to their happiness and get them past any of the patterns that they've been stuck in, using the principles of A Course of Love, as well as my knowledge of the intuitive sciences of astrology, divine sciences of astrology, and numerology. So I'm available in what I call clarity sessions, and I'm also available for personal coaching and mentoring. I've been doing this over 35 years. I would love to be that part of you that supported you in getting past your blocks and any sense of loss. So just go to my website. It explains all the services that I offer. And also, on my website, you can sign up for my contact list. There's a very powerful transformation, like I was saying earlier, that's happening within me and also within you. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take one thought. We're going to take one thought and we're going to end up on that thought. And that thought is, the present is the only time there is. The present is the only time. So right now is the only time that is. Right now is the only time there is. The present is my point of power. My present is my point of power. My present is my point of power. Thank you for the good feelings you got tonight, Cheryl. I'm so glad to hear that. Deanna, I'm so glad I was able to give you a shot of truth today. That's why I'm on the planet. That's why I'm here. We have each other. Don't forget to share this video. Just pop it on your timeline. And remember that you are the infinite, incredible child of God. You are universal consciousness. That's what you are. 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 I am universal consciousness. That is what I am. I am universal consciousness. That is what I am. The present is my point of power. The present is my point of power. Tell yourself, my present is my point of power. The present is my point of power. I can never ever lose. I can never ever lose. Giving and receiving are the same. Tell yourself, all that I give is given to myself. 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 I bless the world because I bless 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 myself. Mighty companion, thank you for being with me tonight for the Course of Love. It was powerful. It was to the point. Listen to this over and over and over. I have hundreds of videos on my website, earlpurdy.com, that could be extraordinarily helpful to you, and they're right there available for you instantly. You are my mighty companion. I love you. I appreciate you. You are a total blessing. And don't forget, Course of Love at 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursdays. A Course in Miracles on Facebook Live at 1 p.m. on Sundays Mountain Time. And The Way of Mastery on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook Live. I love you so much. You're a blessing. You're a blessing in my life.